This video demos the time offset script. The time offset script helps you move your keyframes in the event that the length of your shot has changed. Thank you to Damien Verghese, filmmaker and director at Fast Focus, for allowing me to use his beautiful footage. Here I have a shot where I've done roto for the eyes to help me change their color. The original sequence is 40 to 90 frames. If frames get added to the head of the shot, this is the technique I use to shift my keyframes to the correct frames. I already have my new sequence with an additional 10 frames at the head loaded into my sources window. I create a new session by going to Session, New Session, Command N, or I can click this icon down here in the sources window, and I can name that roto 30 to 90. I can see that the parameters are correct. The duration is 61 frames and the start frame is 30. Click OK. And you see here I'm in my new session. I'm going to change my source alpha to transparent because I have a white alpha at the moment. I'm going to go back to the original session, find the roto node, and I'm going to copy that, I'm going to paste it into the new session. I'm going to delete the empty roto node here because I don't need it, and I'm going to insert my existing roto into this tree here. So now you can see that I have my roto attached to the source. We'll go down to the timeline. You can see that it's not lined up. So in order to line this up, select the roto node and click 6 either on the top of the keyboard or on the numeric keypad, and you'll get a little dialog box here. So it's important to know how many frames offset you need. And so I know I have 10 frames that need to be offset, and I'm going to choose the direction is the tail to the right. I want to shift my keyframes to the right. Click OK, and now you can see that my keyframes have all been shifted and everything lines up, and then now I can add more keyframes at the head of the shot. So back in the original session, one could edit the time shift parameters for the source and change the session setting start frame and then manually drag the keyframes to their correct position, but I find it cleaner just to make a new session. Next I have a shot with frames added at the tail and also a new start frame, and it's already loaded into my sources window. Again, I'm going to create a new session. I'm going to call this roto 50 to 100 and check that all my parameters are correct, 51 frames, and the start frame is 50. Click OK, and here I am in my new session. Again, I'm going to change the fill to transparent, and then I'm going to go back to the original session here, and I'm going to copy the roto node, copy, new session, I'm going to paste it into here, delete the empty roto node, and now you can see I have my roto here. I will go down to the timeline view, but it's not lined up. So in order to line up, we need again to select the roto node, click 6. I know I have 10 frames to offset here, and I'm going to do that the direction of the head. Click OK, and now you can see that my keyframes are lined up. So not only can roto keyframes be shifted, but any node that has keyframes with the exception of paint nodes. If I go back to my original session here, you can see I have a color correct node where I did a quick edit on the lioness's eyes as she growls. So you can see here, they just get a little more green and brighter. And this is just to show an example of how you can shift your other keyframes from different nodes. I'm going to copy color correct node. I'm going to go to let's go to this session here. And I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to hook up my tree how I want it to be. Go to the timeline, and you can see my keyframes are just not quite lined up. They're still they're starting at frame 30, and they need to start later. So again, I can select the node. I'm going to click 6, put in 10 here, and I'm going to choose tail as the direction. Click OK, and now you can see that my keyframes here have been shifted to the right position. So that's a great technique to quickly move your keyframes correctly. And just lastly here, besides clicking 6 on the keyboard, you can also bring up the dialog box by being selected on the node and go to Actions, KM Effects, Node time offset. So this is the time offset script. Let us know if you have any questions.